We're early. We're a few minutes early. So, you know, we're a few minutes early. We have plenty of members here. Well, we have 7 members that have joined us already. We can edit this out later. You know, it doesn't have to go into what you and I are planning to do with the video, but did you see the comments in regard to the Google terms of use?
No.
There was a post in the Wallflowers group about, hold on. Okay. There were comments in the Wallflowers group about if it was okay to refer to Google and titles and stuff, and I was just wondering if you saw it. Somebody went ahead and contacted Google, and Google said they can't give formal permission to use it. You know, there are some comments afterwards. I'm just wondering what's going to be like the repercussion now with people using it. I'm comfortable with how I'm using it. I'm trying to add the little TM after when I refer to it. You know, it's funny, we've been using it since 2015, and now it seems to be an issue, which was not raised by Google, but it was raised by community members.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just wondering what's going to happen. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I'll check it out tonight.
Okay. We still have a few minutes. How are we doing on attendees?
They're coming in. We've got about 4 minutes before it actually starts.
Okay, so I had the videographer came today, and he was so lovely. He's a college student, so I think I found the key to finding a really like cutting edge video professional. They have to be young. Oh. It's like, it seems like that's the medium that they're all engaging in, right? They love video. They love video themselves. So it's like,
that's true.
Really? He was awesome. Hold on. Let's see if they're going to remember if they're supposed to go through the front door or not. Hold on. They remembered. Oh my God.
Oh, they need a treat.
Wait, they don't remember anything. Nothing.
What?
Everything. Oh my God. They would get up and go to school Monday, and they don't have school. Okay, real quick, say hello, then you gotta go. Hold on. Over here.
Hello. How are you?
Okay. All right, go ahead. Go in the other room. You're supposed to say hi.
How old is he?
He is 5.
Oh.
And my older son is 7. Yes.
My kid's about to turn 12.
Oh my God, I can't believe he's 12 already.
Yeah.
I remember him, wait, so he's in middle school?
He's starting.
Are you ready for that?
No.
No. You know what's good though, because you're a secondary teacher, it's like you're programmed for like what he needs, you know? It won't be like a shock for you, but his experiences will be unique to him. But it'll be good that you'll, you know, you're awesome, so he's pumped that he's got you.
We'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah.
We can get him through these 2 years. That'll be good.
I know. Okay. Here we go. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I swear I keep freezing up down there.
Are you?
On just on my end, not up at the top. Down at the bottom.
Okay. Cameron has to be in here, of course.
Hello.
You getting your shoes on? Why? Where are you going? Okay. Okay. How's that? Okay. Here we go. Cameron, you have to hurry up, honey. Mommy's starting in a minute. Hurry up, honey. Okay. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight to our Inspiration for Google Groups exclusive webinar. I love putting these together, and I love that our group members are so willing to participate and share their knowledge and really get into it with us about their experiences in the classroom using technology. And I am so thrilled tonight that I have Leah Cleary with us. Leah, I'm honored to have you here with me tonight. I mean, you and I have been on this journey together for over 2 years, but 2 years officially together in the Google group. I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell us about your background in the classroom, your experiences, and don't forget to mention your blog, because I think everybody needs to go there to check out your blog posts and your information. So, okay, welcome.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here, Danielle. Thank you for having me. My name is Leah Cleary, and my blog is leahcleary.com, and I do a lot with the blended classroom on my blog and at work. I live in Georgia, USA, and I've been teaching for 16 years. I taught middle school for 2 years, and then I moved over to high school, and I've been doing that ever since. And I taught ELA for 6 years, and then I've spent the past 10 years in social studies.
What's been your favorite?
World history, because I teach world history, sociology, and psychology now. And I just love world history. You can do so much with it.
I liked modern world history.
I like it all.
Yeah. I did too, but I just remember getting to that, like, that class too. I guess it was post. It wasn't US too, but it was like post, I want to say World War I think it picked up with. It was just really interesting. So yeah, you're lucky to have all those experiences. And it sounds like if you were in a cross-curricular environment, you would really flourish. Like, you would have no problem with that.
That would be nice. I'd like to do that. We don't really do that at my school because I've tried, and I think scheduling doesn't really permit.
Right. It's a trend in New Jersey that hasn't really picked up too much, but I do see it. Like my buddy teaches, I think it's U.S. history, and he team teaches with an ELA teacher. So that's cool. So I guess they'll cover their novels and then the history together.
Yeah, and that's
so tonight. I asked you to join us tonight because we're going to talk about blended learning, in the blended classroom, which I am a fan of. It's what I've engaged in my teaching practice, and you do as well. So, why did you start implementing blended learning with your students?
I knew that we were going to be going 1-1, and so I wanted to get a jump on it. I think I've said before that at first I didn't like the idea of going 1-1 because I love my interactive notebooks so much, and I just wanted to find a way to do it on my own terms. You know, I wanted to be familiar with it. I wanted to maybe even have a say in how my school did it. So I jumped in really early.
So you mentioned interactive notebooks, blended learning. Tell us what blended learning is. What is blended learning?
Blended learning, it's a hybrid between traditional instruction and digital instruction. So you're combining the two. You're getting the best of both worlds. You're not just you're not just doing everything digital or just doing everything traditionally. You're taking what works from each world and combining them.
So on an average day in your classroom, is there always a tech-infused activity, or are some days all paper, or like is it always a combination? What do you see your pattern?
I've been on the block schedule for the past, 13 years. I'm going to a school system this year that's traditional, so this might change. But on the block schedule, every day is a mixture of both.
It's a mixture of both. So during so those of you that don't know, a block schedule is not the typical 40-minute class. It is, I want to say in my district, it was 71 minutes. What do you have?
Ours are 90.
90?
So yeah, we get an hour, 90. We get an hour and a half.
Okay, so it's like it's an A-B schedule, right? Like Monday.
Not ours.
No?
We do an entire year's worth of a course in one semester. So we get all new students in January.
That's
but the thing
cool,
with
because there were some students I would like to say goodbye to in December as well.
that is definitely a plus. You know, you have to start all over in January, but it can be a really good thing.
Yeah.
Depending on your class.
All right, I could deal with this till, Christmas break. Okay. So during that, so there's certain days where you see certain students, correct? Like you don't see them every day.
I see them every day. Since we do an entire course in a semester.
Got it.
But I would teach 3 classes and then have 1 block of planning.
Correct. Okay. What led you to trying the blended classroom, the blended learning environment?
I've always, I think ever since I started teaching, been attracted to technology. And even though we didn't call it blended learning then, I was thinking about this last night. I've been blending for a really long time because when the Renaissance responders were the thing, I was using those. Back when web quests were huge, I was big on, okay, we're going to go to the computer lab and do this web quest. So I think, I've been blending for a while. I didn't really call it that until recently.
I think, okay, so I too have always tried to do some tech activities, but I guess it wasn't until like 2 years ago we started calling it the blended learning environment.
Right.
It wasn't until 2 years ago where I really made a conscious effort every day to try to put a tech activity in a center or a part of their task list. Like I really made it a priority to make sure that it got in there. That's when I started considering myself a blended learning teacher. When I was making that effort to ensure that there was some kind of tech activity included in the unit or in the, in that day's class time. Those of you that are tuning in, blended learning is also awesome to take the pressure off you from the direct instruction. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, if you want to see yourself turn into a facilitator like that, this is an awesome way to do it.
Yeah. And there's really, it's great too because I don't know if we were going to get to the different models of blended learning, but there's 2 that I really use. There's the flex model and there's station rotation. And one thing I like a lot about station rotation is that you will use formative assessment to group the students, flex group them by what they know or need to learn. And then, you can take a really small group and you can reteach them directly so that you're just working with a few kids while other kids are doing enrichment things. And you can use technology to do that so that they're not falling behind while you're working with a small group. So they could even move ahead, not just enrich.
I call that, you probably do, like a mini lesson. Like I would bring them together for mini lessons while my students would be in the centers. Oh my God, let me tell you, my teaching practice, even my self-satisfaction as a teacher went way up when I started my engagement in this type of model. It was much more interactive for myself. When you say like individual, personalized attention for my students.
Yeah, and something else that I've noticed over the past few years, and I've only been teaching history for 10 years, but world history tends to be really lecture-oriented. And when I first started, the students loved it. You could tell stories, and they'd hang on your every word, and they'd really be into it. But the past couple of years, longer than that, it's really a struggle to get them engaged. You could be telling, the most outlandish stories, and they don't have the attention span. So I think that blended is really nice to take a lot of that pressure off of us as the deliverer of content and let the students be instead of the receivers of content, let them be the procurers of content.
I told you I have a silly story about when I taught dance. right? And it was a
Right.
total light bulb moment for me where years ago when I first became a teacher, I taught theater and dance. And I was teaching a dance class, and it was going awful. It was going terribly. It was mostly female students. And I said to my mom, the class is going awful. I don't know what to do. They're not really enjoying anything I'm showing them or what I'm doing with them. So she goes, wait a minute, what are you talking about? You're showing them. They took the class for them to show you. They want you to see them. They want to engage with each other. They don't want to sit there and watch you dance. I don't know if anybody wanted that anyway, but I was like, oh my God, you're so right. I need to flip this. I need to put them on the stage. I need to be the one that's going to watch them. So I always remember that now. And that example kind of, it's not the same in history class, I know. But they do want you to hear from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
They always want to. They want to teach. They like to do presentations for the most part. And
that's awesome.
There's a lot that they can use technology for now to do that.
Was it always easy for you to integrate the blended learning in all your classes, or did you have some classes that it just didn't click with? Like, how was it for you?
Yeah, so I found that I've had some students who it didn't really click with, and so I would do more traditional instruction with. But then I have classes where they really love it and they want to get on the devices and all of that. And before we went 1-1, back when it was hard to actually get the devices, that was when I started getting pretty creative with the station rotation and things like that, so that, you know, I might send a group to the media center to work on the computers to do a technology station, or you know, maybe I could get a couple of the iPads from the cart, you know, to use at a station, something like that. But I think that it's always good to mix it up, whether they like it or not, because they're technology natives. You know, we're really not, but they grew up with it all. But you think about the type of technology that they use on a daily basis. They like to stream videos and they get on social media, and, you know, they do all that sort of thing. And I think that a lot of the things that we're asking them to do are more geared towards things that maybe will benefit them in the workforce eventually. So I think that even if they don't necessarily like it, it's good for them to do.
How are you with digital citizenship? Like, do you put a lot of emphasis on that in the beginning?
Yeah, I do a little activity with it in the beginning, where, you know, I have them do like I guess it's like a WebQuest HyperDoc type thing on Google Slides, and we just consider different topics, and, you know, we talk about things like plagiarism, intellectual property, cyberbullying, all of that's really important for them to be aware of.
Can you talk about some of the successes you've had as a blending learning teacher? Like, what are you most proud of?
I think that I'm most proud of, and we've talked about this before, but my students going to other teachers and saying, you need to talk to Miss Cleary about how she does this, you know, because that shows me that they like the way I'm doing it.
That's cool, yeah. When other teachers come up to you and they say, can you stop doing all those technical activities, because that's all my kids talk about and they want me to do it now. And I'm like, that is awesome, and no, I'm not going to stop, but thank you for letting me know that they're talking about it. That always makes me really happy. So you have successes that you're really proud of, but do you have any areas of improvement that you know you need to work on, like, come September?
I mean, there's always areas of improvement. One of them is classroom management with the blended classroom. That is something that is, you know, that's different from year to year, semester to semester. That depends a lot on the group that you have. So there's that. Making sure that the kids get social interaction, especially if you're using a flex model, which I do use some. And a flex model is basically, in case people don't know, where the kids are working at their own pace. So they're sitting there with their devices, and maybe there's an instructional video, and then there's some activities for them to do. It's digital, and they're moving at their pace, as opposed to giving them a certain amount of time and everybody being on the same page. So that's I try to bring in, and I hope to bring in more collaborative work that requires them to interact with one another, because that's important too.
Very important. With the collaborative activities, being a facilitator, I feel like, is even more important, to make sure you are in contact with every group in the room, and it's not and I think this is actually a misconception people have, that when you're using technology, you're sitting at your desk and you're letting them teach themselves. That's not what's happening.
No.
Not at all.
No. I am moving around the room constantly.
As a matter of fact, anytime I ever did take a step back and maybe want to sit down, they all kind of went off the track. Like, it just, if they see you walking around, then they stay on the track. Like, you can't disappear on them.
Right. And I always make sure that my students know I'm cyber stalking them. That's, we call it cyber stalking. Yeah, I'll be on GoGuardian. If you use Chromebooks, GoGuardian's a really good program, and you can see the students' screens, and if they're on something that they're not supposed to be on, you can shut it down. You can even lock their computers so that they can't browse anymore if they keep going to the sites that they're not supposed to.
I think we need to share that site after the webinar. We definitely have to maybe put the link in our group.
Oh, sure, yeah. My school has a my school, I don't know about the one I'm going to, but the school that I've been at for so long had a subscription. I think through the whole county had it. I'm not sure how it would work on an individual basis, but I can check into that.
That's awesome.
But you can also, in Google Classroom, you can stalk them while they're working, because you can go in just to, not even if you're just using Google Drive, you can go in and you can open up their activities. And I know that before I've done this, like, I've gone into in Google Classroom, my classroom folder, and I've opened up their assignments that they're working on. Maybe they're dragging and dropping something, and then they put the answer in the wrong place, and they get really freaked out because I'll move it away. And
that's immediate feedback. Holy.
Yeah, that's immediate feedback. And if somebody's really struggling, then say if it's a vocab activity and they have a bunch of choices, I might move like 5 choices over to one side and say, oh, okay, in the comments, pick between these or among these. And I think that's really helpful.
That is really helpful.
Yeah.
Have you seen the blended learning environment strategies? Have they impacted your classroom's behavior?
Yes, I think that the students tend to be more engaged. Part of it's probably the variety. But they're more engaged, and when they're more engaged, they're definitely better behaved.
So true, isn't it? It's like if they're too busy, they don't have time to act out. Right.
Yes.
It's when it's the downtime that all the silliness things start to happen, or they start to look at using the technology inappropriately. Right.
Yeah. Which they will. They have downtime.
Totally. So what about academically?
Well, my test scores have definitely improved since I went blended. And I know that, like, my scores were just the first semester that I went blended, they were really high. And I've maintained that ever since. So that's been really nice. That's a nice benefit.
Would you make the correlation, like, because the activities that you're promoting in your classroom are tech-based, are the state tests tech-based also?
Yes, they are. And I think that definitely helps because if they're going to take the test on well, if they're going to take the test on a device, then they need practice with the device.
And strategies that go with taking the
Right.
test, right? So you're providing that. That's awesome.
Exactly. Because they'll take
cool
the
too.
test and Google.
If you're starting with the blended learning at the beginning of the school year and you're doing it all year, you're not jamming the test prep in at the last minute. It's almost like you're integrating the activities all school year to prepare them.
Right.
That is nice. Since you've started using this form of teaching, have you noticed, how about the engagement? Have you noticed an improvement in the engagement?
Definitely, and that also comes with experimenting, I think, with different apps and just not doing the same thing all the time. Of course, you want to have a routine in your classroom because the kids need a routine, but you want to add a bunch of different things. So, trying new apps, trying new games, just different things that are going to mix it up. They love that. They love to try new things. At least my students do.
Totally. I love Flipbooks. You know that. Like, I love Flipbooks. I know you like Flipbooks and interactive notebooks. But there is a time where if you do it for every unit, a child looks at the next one and they'll be like, another one? And I'm like, excuse me, you don't love these? And then we all laugh.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then if you change it up a little bit, it makes it much better. I agree.
Yeah.
It's like having the same thing for dinner every night.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No, you want variety, right? How about motivation? Are your students motivated? It sounds like they are. Like, do you notice a difference?
I have to work to get my students motivated generally. My students are not, I guess I tend to teach struggling students. That's sort of my
that's my
wheel. Yeah. And so motivation, I find that at the very beginning, if I'm giving them little tasks that I'm guiding them through and helping them to feel successful and they can feel good about what they're doing, then as I introduce more complicated things into the mix, they're more motivated to try.
So it sounds like a healthy growth mindset, not only from the facilitator, the educator, the kids have to see that you have that, right?
Right.
And that will spill over to them, hopefully. I like that you mentioned that you try different apps, you try different things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever have them show you an app or show you a site that they found?
Oh yeah, they do that a lot.
I love that.
They're really, they're kind of my teachers in a lot of the technological sense.
Absolutely.
They've shown me some things that I couldn't figure out how to do, especially at first. They've shown me how to do. They're like, oh no, Miss Cleary, this is how you do it.
I love that. I know. Here's a shortcut to do that. Or I mentioned to you before that I've gotten to know a young man in college that is I guess he's a radio, TV, film major. His expertise in video surpasses most people I know, and I attribute that to first of all, his age, right? Because like you said before, they're technology natives.
Yeah, we're visitors.
Yeah, he's been using the green screen as he today since he was 11. So I was like, oh my God, that's a long time.
I used to type my papers on a typewriter.
I had the brother. Did you have the brother?
Oh yeah, it was the brother.
I would type, and then I think when it was time to print, didn't it type it all, right? And then I used to watch it.
Because it would show up on that little bitty screen as you were typing, and it was just this little green screen. Yeah. And then you would hit something. I can't even remember what it was.
And then you sat back and it just printed, right?
Right. Right. Hey,
listen, I thought I was cool with mine. And then,
no, it was not that, definitely.
But then I started going to the computer lab. I remember when everybody got email addresses. It was like a big deal.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
So you mentioned before collaboration. So when I hear the word collaboration, I hear group work, projects, cooperative learning. So are you placing your students into groups, or are they picking their own groups?
I place them into groups. So I have tables in my classroom, which you can do this by just pushing your desks together. And I keep students in the same group for 6 weeks. And then I mix the groups up so that they become comfortable with working with their group. And then when they get to know each other and sort of have built up a rapport, I mix it up on them and change the groups out.
So they're sitting in groups.
They are. They sit in groups all the time.
That's cool.
Yeah. I have dividers for the tables for tests.
You pass them out?
No, they get them. I have every person in the group has a job, and somebody every time the test goes and gets the dividers.
They go up and get them. That's cool.
I'm not doing it.
No. Yeah, let them go do it. You're right.
Exactly.
So which technology resources are your favorites to use in the blended learning environment?
Well, of course, I love Google Slides,
yes.
And Google Forms. You can do a lot with those. I love Flippity. If you guys haven't heard of Flippity, you should check it out. You can use that with Google Sheets. It's an add-on. It used to just be a website and you could get templates from it, but now it's an add-on. And in Google Sheets, you can click on your add-ons and select a template from Flippity, and you change the content, and then you hit publish, and then it gives you a web link, and you go to the website, and your content is in flashcards. You can make a Hangman game. Yeah, a Jeopardy game. You can have on the back of the flashcards, you can embed video in there. You can, it has all different languages. So you can set it for Spanish if you've got.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And they've also got like a spinning wheel that you can make in Google Sheets with Flippity. It's all free too. It's really cool.
I was just going to ask you that.
Oh yeah, it's free. And
okay, so that's an add-on. So our viewers can find the Flippity add-on in the Google Play, in the Google Store, I guess it's called, like, right?
Right. Or if you just open a Google Sheet, then you can just go up to add-on, get add-on, and get the Flippity one, and then select a template, depending on what it is you want to make.
Okay, you and I are going to revisit that.
Like online crossword puzzles with Flippity. It's really cool.
That's how you make them.
Yeah. On the Google Sheets.
Okay.
And so Sheets is kind of a lot of people don't use it, but it's got a lot of possibilities. And then as saying, I like EdPuzzle. That's a great app to use. You can crop videos. You can just show portions of videos using EdPuzzle. Then you can have questions to go along with them. There's.
You know what's really cool about the EdPuzzle? You can sync it with the Google Drive, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It syncs with Google Classroom. That's really nice. It's a nice feature.
With that Google, they really know how to sync it with everything, huh?
Yeah, Google's great. Even something like quizzes, you can, if you've never done quizzes, it's like a little, it's kind of like Kahoot, but it's for students to review individually instead of as a group. You can even assign quizzes in Google Classroom.
When you do your quizzes and tests, do you give your students an option to take it on the Google form or paper, or it's either everyone does it on a paper? Like, what do you do for that?
Honestly, unless it's in their IEP that they need to take it a certain way, we all take it the same way. So my preference, yeah, and it really just depends on the test. You know, I do quizzes, a lot of quizzes in Google Forms because it's great, you know, especially now that it's got the quiz feature. You don't even have to use Flubaroo or anything like that to
oh my God,
make it
no, Flubaroo goes back to like what? Like 2010 maybe, 2011. I remember that was like my first Google training was the Flubaroo add-on. Yeah, you don't have to do that
Right.
anymore.
If I want for them to do something on paper, I have the ZipGrade app on my phone so that the multiple choice part of the test I can grade with my phone and then just read the essays.
Do you have a blog post on that?
I might. I probably do.
Yes, you should consider that because I've seen pins for that on Pinterest, and I haven't read too much about it. But oh my, that's a great way because it's a bubble sheet, right? They would fill it in, and then you take a picture with it, and it grades it automatically. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It's really great, and you can do all sorts of. You can do multiple versions. So especially since if I'm doing something, if I'm doing something like a paper test, and my students sit in those groups of 4, well, they have their dividers, but I also make 4 different versions of every test so that nobody at the same table has the same version of the test. Because you know they like to cheat. They always find ways.
They do? Oh my God. Never seen a student try to cheat before. Joking, everyone. Please, every classroom I ever taught in, that was like the who can cheat the best, right? Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but
especially
they
now.
didn't get away with it. Let's make sure we put that out there that it was not something that went unnoticed. So we mentioned Pinterest before. So can you talk a little bit about like where is your go-to place to get information on blended learning?
Yeah, Pinterest, definitely, and I like Google. I'll Google things.
Google things.
And yeah, you'll come up with some pretty interesting things in the search results. Go to the second or third page, and sometimes you'll find things that a lot of people don't know about yet.
Isn't that true? Mm-hmm. I find, I like Weird Teachers. I like Teacher Vision. Edutopia seems to be a little bit ahead of everybody. That one actually, you and I have been looking at since, I was getting interested in this type of teaching. That one seemed to be the leader. Who owns that? Isn't that the Star Wars, George Lucas, right?
Right, George Lucas.
I don't know if he owns it. I think he funds it. I think he puts money towards it for it to even exist. That's awesome. Okay, so do you have any suggestions for teachers that want to begin experimenting? Like, what should they be doing this summer to prepare for September? Like, let's talk about that first.
My number one suggestion would be that they take the units that they already have. They take, what they use, and they comb through their units, and they decide what works and keep it. And then maybe what could use some improvement, and there's the areas that they need to see that they can blend, right? Because my whole philosophy on that is all things being equal, take it digital because it's easier. But if it's better, traditionally keep it. So I'd start just looking at my units, and then I'd think about what I wanted the students to get out of it, and then maybe just start looking around, look at apps, do a little, little blog reading or whatever. I've got a lot of things about apps and little tech tools that I use on my blog, and there's lots of teachers out there who do. And, just figure out how they can make it digital. Even on TPT, you can go there, and a lot of people have made Google Slides activities that they could use.
I love the Google Slides. Oh, yeah. I like to stay within that realm and explore different add-ons because I used Chromebooks in the classroom primarily, so I wasn't a big app user on the tablet for myself personally. And then we would just go out and venture, for example, like the Newsella.
Love it.
Love Newsella, right? Can you talk about Newsella?
Yeah, so Newsella is really awesome, and it integrates with Google Classroom too. Basically, you get current events and nonfiction readings off of Newsella, and they're going to be differentiated for different reading levels.
Isn't that awesome? That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. It's like covering like Martin Luther King in February, typically like that time of the year, and you can start covering MLK in elementary school all the way through high school. Everybody ends up going to Newsela to retrieve information on him and different levels of reading. That's great.
Right. Or even, you know, within your own classroom.
In your own classroom, I totally agree, right.
ESL students or students with, you know, who are really struggling readers, and
that's great.
You can differentiate it in there.
Okay, so we recommend Newsela totally. That's such a good website.
Great site.
Let's see. And can you talk about the very beginning of the school year? How do you organize it right off the bat? What do you provide your students with?
Well, my students have one-on-one devices. I've been very fortunate in that. So there's that. They're already there. I make sure that I use Google Classroom, so I make sure that in the About section that I have little tutorials. I'll just stick them there for how to do certain things, like how to submit paper-based assignments on a Chromebook. You know, you take a picture, and then you put it in Classroom. And then I have it, and I don't have papers to take home, and all I have to do is zoom in on it to read it, right? This is if they're doing something on paper. Or how to use Video, or how, you know, something that we use a lot. I'll have little tutorials in there. For each of my units, since they are blended, part of them are in traditional paper interactive notebooks, and part of them are on Google Classroom. So I have those organized so that each unit has a table of contents, and listed on the left-hand side is everything that is in the paper interactive notebook. In the middle, concepts that we're studying, and on the right-hand side, everything that's in Google Classroom. And then I organize Google Classroom by topics, and I do my topics are just units. So Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, and they're all listed in Google Classroom.
Do you offer that in your store?
I do. I've got a free blended interactive notebook guide, like I guess a free blended classroom guidebook, and it's got the table of contents in it and a couple of other things that it talks about how I blend, basically.
I think everyone should check that out. I think we need to provide the link to that.
I will provide the link.
Yeah, and that's for personal use. That's for someone to use in their own classroom. Yeah. Okay, I'll make sure everybody knows that. So to recap, I mean, is there anything we missed? Or I love that table of contents thing, by the way. I have one for digital notebooks, but I didn't even think of doing like the blended model, because yeah, you're still going to have things on paper that they need to have a table of contents for. You know, that's something somebody would overlook.
Oh, yeah, and here's the thing, you know, at the end of a unit and they're trying to fill out their study guide, or at the end of the semester they're studying for exams, you know, I would give them like a little task card review and say there's a question on a task card, and then it'll say at the bottom, Unit 5. So they know to go to their interactive notebook, their paper version, flip to the table of contents for Unit 5, and they can see if that topic is covered in their notebook or in Google Classroom.
Okay, wait.
And then if it's...
No, I'm sorry to interrupt. Okay, is the table of contents on Google or is it on paper?
It's on paper.
Okay.
Well, actually, I do it on paper so that it's right there in their paper interactive notebook, and they can just, you know, really easily flip to it. And I know that a lot of times in Google Classroom, the way the stream works, sometimes things can get lost, even if you are organizing them by topic. So I like to have the printed out paper version of the table of contents.
Okay.
But then they know where to look if they don't remember answers, or if they need to look back over something. You know, they can go to Google Classroom, they can click on Unit 5 on the left-hand side in the topics, and they can scroll until they find whatever resource is going to have the answer to the question they're trying to answer.
So I love that you promote organization within your classroom. So I, myself, in my own teaching practice, if you complete all your resources for the unit, I would let kids use them on the test.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, because it encouraged them to maintain their flip books, their digital notebooks. I allowed you to use them. I also had a small group instruction class. It wasn't a large college prep environment. It was a smaller group of students. So my philosophy was, it is a skill to go back and use your resources like they're your reference tool. It's also promoting responsibility for getting everything done.
Yeah.
I've also been known to, like, if you bring all your items the day of the test completed, you'll get like 5 extra points on the test. It's like an incentive to keep that table of contents going, to keep the digital notebook maintained. Yeah. So anything to like really get them to do it. They would do it too.
Yeah.
Sometimes the day of the test they would beg me, "Can I bring it in tomorrow?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm sorry. It had to be here today." I gave them like 3 weeks notice, but that's just being a teacher. We hear that stuff all the time. Okay, so thank you so much. Can you give us your blog address again?
Sure. It's leahcleary.com, and within my blog, like if you look up at the top, there's a category that you can click on that will take you to my blended classroom website, and that is theblendedclassroom.com.
Your blog looks beautiful, by the way. I love the whole design, everything, and it's easy to navigate. Also, I want to give a plug for your newsletter. Can you tell everybody where they can sign up for it? Because I get your newsletter and I love it.
Oh, they can sign up for it on my blog. Thank you so much. So if you just go to my blog, if you scroll to the bottom of every post, there's a place you can sign up. On the right hand at the bottom, there's a place you can sign up. I think there's still a pop-up, but I'm going to get rid of that.
I have the pop-up, but it's not obtrusive, intrusive. It pops, and I think it goes to the right top of the screen.
See, that one's okay. Mine covers the whole page, and then people can't figure out how to X out of it because MailChimp makes it so that it's this little bitty
that little. All right, so I'll talk to you offline about where you should check out a pop-up, the one I use. And then on the mobile device, I don't even think it pops up over the blog. I think it stays at the bottom.
Oh, that's great. That's what I
that was one of my pet peeves. Like, if you can't X that out, I would just leave the blog. But I've been getting your newsletter for quite some time. It's well-established information. It's great. So thank you again so much. I'm going to talk to you more about this outside the webinar, and in our Google group we'll talk about it, and we'll post some information about the things Leah talked about tonight. And if anybody has any questions after they watch the webinar, please post them for us to talk about things further. Thank you again, Leah, so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed this.
Oh, we'll be doing something again.
Excellent.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you so much.